welcome to Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. I'm Jeani, your guide for the next hour. We're coming to you from the communities room at the ACC. And just a friendly reminder that today at 4, there's a workshop entitled, let's see if I've got it right, Already Burnt, Caregiver Burnout in America, something to that effect. So I hope, there it is. So I hope you'll join this wonderful workshop, especially nowadays. It's good to have a little support and get some information and education. So that being said, we'll go ahead and today's class for our happy new Lunar New Year, first off. And just for today's class, I would like to remind you that we are starting with warm-ups, going to modified sun salutation, and cooling down sometime halfway through the class. Today's class, we'll be doing pretty much what we've been focusing on, hips and major muscle groups for the last week or so. But in last week's class, we had some requests for hands and feet stretching exercises. So I'm going to try to remember to include more of those cues too. So a lot of these poses, especially if you've gotten into that rhythm in your practice where you can stay for a while and you're feeling comfortable, you can always incorporate things like finger stretches, toe stretches, or just some other part of a sort of like an extra little stretch or relaxation point. So I'll try to remember that. Anyhow, let's go ahead and meet at the back of the mat. And as you begin today's practice, focusing on just arriving without changing too much, just allowing the space for the body to come to the practice. As you begin to focus inward, breath will begin to slow. You'll notice things, maybe how the feet feel while on the mat, how the legs, how the back, how the face might be holding some of the activities that brought you to class today. Just as you begin to let go, just notice how the air enters the nose and how it exits the nose. We'll start to bring a little more cultivation, focus to the breath. Let's go ahead and bring our left palm to rest on our chest, right palm underneath the belly. We'll go ahead and just start to breathe with a little more intention. As we inhale, slowly feel the chest rise. At the top of the inhale, that pulling action at the top of the crown of the head. A brief pause before you start to exhale with a little more control. Feeling the energy leaving the body. You can gently press in the belly hand, help expel the air. For the next few breaths, focus on the breath cycle, that full inhale, the brief pause before you start the slow exhale. You can finish cultivating that more relaxed yoga breath, the sound of the ocean, a deep sigh at the back of the throat. Go ahead and bring our hands down to the side. And as we're still connected to the yoga breath, you can always remind yourself to come back to that connected breath. We'll go ahead and start bringing motion and the breath together. So starting to energize the fingers down towards the floor. Let's inhale, feeling that energy lifting through the body, up through the crown of the head. And with the exhale, feeling the energy returning back through the body, reverse direction towards the mat, feeling more rooted at the feet. With the next inhale, let's go ahead and start bringing the center of gravity towards the toes, bringing that movement at the soles of the feet, the foundation, stopping at that tipping point, using the next breath to slowly roll the weight of the soles of the feet towards the heels. So once more, there's that tipping point. And as we move from heel to toe in our center of gravity, just noticing the transition, how it translates through the body, we'll meet at center, somewhere at the top of the ankles, nearer to the heels, in our mountain. Inhaling to reset. Let's go ahead and lift upwards, fully at the top of the inhale. So all we have to do is roll to the outer edges with the next exhale towards the right. Inhale all the way back up. Exhale to the left. Inhale back to center. And continue rocking from side to side, just to get that horizontal mapping of our foundation. And we'll meet back at center. Feel even distribution of weight at the soles of the feet. And as we reset for our mountain once more, a little longer, a little taller, we can start making small circular motions at the ankle, still feeling energized upwards like a tall stick in the pot. Just stirring it at that one point of contact at the bottom of the pot. Feeling the radiation of those circles getting larger and larger. Perimeter of the feet being the edge of those perimeter, that perimeter that we identify at the feet. And then making them smaller, tightening the circles till we meet back at center, right back at mountain. Settling in, let's reset once more, nice and tall. And then make small circular motions at the ankle, radiating outward in the opposite direction. We're trying to keep the body upright, but it's a process. So maybe it's a little choppier, maybe it's just as smooth. But once we find that perimeter, we'll return to our home base of mountain once more, like water going down a drain. Alrighty, inhale, lift the toes, lift the heels, reset the mountain once more. We're moving up the body. Now we're going to be swiveling around the ankles and the hips, so making sort of a note of how the feet are holding the weight. We're just going to start swaying from side to side. We start finding some momentum where the torso is sort of swaying with the body as we're pivoting on the heel from side to side as we go more towards that side. We don't want to twist the knees, so we lift up when we find that resistance there. So we're just sort of swaying from side to side. As we get a little movement in the ankles, a little in the hips, we can start bringing a little more around the torso, maybe even bringing shoulders, elbows, just nice and relaxed arms. But with that swinging momentum, that energy, we might get a little bit of tapping on our sides. And then we can slow down that momentum and return to mountain. And then we'll move on up to the shoulders. So once more, resetting mountain, hips distance our feet. We're finding ourselves getting just a little taller. Pelvic bowl can be just gently pressed forward, lifting up, energizing upwards as we get higher up on the body. Palms facing forward. Let's go ahead and inhale, lift the shoulders up toward the ears. Exhale, roll them back and down. A total of 4 of these in this round, just to get the shoulders lubricated, keeping the body upright for the most part. And the breath facilitating the release in the shoulders. As soon as you're done with your 4, we'll continue with another round, inhaling the shoulders up, but this time rolling forward on the exhale. Notice if the body changes as we're transitioning through each set. And as I say that, I'm rolling the feet back on a more even distribution of weight at the foundation. Sometimes they have a tendency to roll out. So just notice that as you're moving. If you tend to become off balance, just come back to center. Alrighty. Coming on up to the throat and the head and neck. We'll go ahead and return to our mountain, feeling energized upwards as we inhale. Exhale, let the right ear dip towards the right shoulder, keeping the left and right shoulder in line. Inhale for length. Exhale to turn the gaze and release the left side of the neck in this gentle twist to the right. The next 4 breath cycles, hopefully allowing us to just breathe some space, some length to the left side of the neck. Maybe even find a little bit of release in the eyes as we rest them to the rightmost in a soft gaze. Palms facing forward, shoulders relaxed, body upright. After your very last exhale, you can inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head completely back up. So all we have to do is exhale to the left side. Inhale to lift the chest. Exhale to turn the gaze. And just use your ocean breath, the yoga breath, to help facilitate the release for the right side. If the right shoulder lifted up as you turn to this left side, just exhale the right shoulder back in line with the left. Shoulders in line with one another, hips, knees, ankles. And after your very last breath cycle, go ahead and inhale the eyes, the gaze, the head all the way back up, crown of the head shining towards the ceiling. And with the exhale, allow the gaze to drift downward, eyes resting at the top of the mat. There's length in the back of the neck. Inhale at a slight diagonal tilt of the crown of the head towards the ceiling. Allow space between the chin and the chest. And just use the breath as usual to help facilitate each inhale, maximizing energy inward. And each exhale, release, pressing the belly button in towards the spine, engaging the core at the very bottom of the exhale. Shoulders relaxed. Points of the shoulder blades at the bottom tucked into the mid-back. And after the very last exhale, go ahead and inhale the eyes back to center, past the midline, and rest the eyes somewhere where you can see above you without craning the back of the neck. Then use the next few breath sets to see if you can release any tension in the mouth, the throat, and the tongue. Gentle jaw sway of the lower jaw. You might hear some slight popping, slight grinding, but slow movements just to get some lubrication in. With your very last breath cycle, we'll bring our sight back to center. Just give yourself any type of shaking of the wrists. And we'll go ahead and come back to one more. or modified sun salutation. So coming all the way to the back of the mat. Let's go ahead. Energize the fingers downwards. Inhale, arms reach upward. Exhale, hinging at the hips, engaging the core. Start to fully fold. As we begin this first fold, it's a little lengthier. We're just going to see about making sure there's that column of support. You're feeling nice and secure in your center of gravity at the hips, all the way down to the heels. And once that's there, you can keep your knees bent too if your legs are still stiff. But you want to keep that tailbone all the way down to the crown of the head as that point of lengthening, as that line of lengthening. Once we've started to relax, usually by about the third breath or so, you might start to feel a little bit of release, just letting go. So you can always bend one knee, bend the other, just gentle movements. One more deep inhale, one more deep exhale. We'll begin to come out of this fold with a slow roll up. So as you begin, engage the core, step into the feet, firm up the legs, and start to curl up the spine, one vertebra at a time. Walking the hands up if you need. Last thing to stack on the neck is the head, palms facing forward. Allow the blood to rush back to the head. Engaging the fingers downward once more. Let's go ahead and inhale, extend the arms above the head. Reaching upward with the torso at the top of the inhale. Let's exhale, hinging at the hips. Locking the hands halfway down if you need, or just floating the back all the way to a second fold. We're about 3 breath cycles here instead, a little shorter this time. You can sway the hips from side to side, just trying to keep the mic from collapsing into my throat. And as you get the second fold in here, you can lift the toes. And then let's go ahead and come on out one more time. But this time you have a choice of either a slow roll up or a straight back with an inhale. So let's go ahead and inhale, extend through the arms. You can slow roll up or come on up with a straight back. Engaging the core is key. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. Let's go ahead and start our walking meditation. Inhaling, right foot lifts. Exhaling the heel, ball of foot, toes down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale the heel, ball of foot, toes down. Inhaling, exhaling, one full step. And at the top of the mat, meet in mountain, looking down at the fingertips, press into the palms. Inhale, extend the arms above, separate the palms. Exhale, hinge into the fold. Exhaling. Inhale, half lift. We're just going to be here for a breath or two, looking straight down, feeling that length from the hips down to the heels, a little straighter this time. But you can still keep that micro bend to the knees. And then we exhale, release to the fold. Bring the hands down, step a right foot back, step a left foot back. Inhaling, shoulders over the wrists. We're going to bring the knees down, untuck the toes, bring the crooks of the elbows in front, points of the elbows toward the back, and we're just going to lengthen through the arms. Now you're extending through the arms, feeling that protraction of the shoulder blades away from the spine. Nice and broad shoulders. The core is engaged. Belly button is sticking to the spine. Let's go ahead and inhale. Tuck the toes, lift up the hips, and press the hips back with the exhale to your down dog. It's the first one. We're taking about 5 breath cycles here. We're keeping the heels either slightly above or on our way down towards the mat. Eventually, they may touch, but they don't have to. You can always cycle out your legs, walking the dog, bending one knee and then the other, making sure your fingers are splayed, the elbows, once more, points of the elbows towards the back, crooks of the elbows towards the front or the top of the mat. One more deep inhale, engage the core, come on up to the tiptoes. One more exhale, press into extended arms, heels downward. We're going to look to the hands with our next inhale. Bend the knees if you need, and walk the hands to the fold at the back of the mat. Feet under the hips. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center. Second walking meditation. Inhaling, right foot up. Exhaling, the foot down. Inhale, left foot up. Exhale it down. Engaging the core, pressing into the palms. If you feel a little wobbly, and at the top of the mat, we'll meet. Looking down at the fingertips, pressing into the palms. Inhale, lift the hands, separate the palms. Exhale, fold. Inhale, half lift. Lengthen through the back, through the legs as best you can. Exhale, fold. Plant the hands. Step a right leg back, a left leg back. Long, high plank this time. Shoulders over the wrists, nice and strong. Arms, fingers splayed. Index and middle fingers towards the top of the mat. Heels to the crown of the head. One nice long diagonal line. Inhale, let's lift the hips. Press back into our down dog. And about 3 breath cycles here. Check to see the orientation of the head. Is it in between the upper arms? And feel the uplifting direction of energy at the hips, at the core, while the downward energy is at the hands and at the feet. With the next inhale, look to the hands, bend the knees if you need, and walk the hands to the back of the mat. Return to the fold. Fully exhaled. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, engage the core. Come on back up. Exhaling, hands down, heart center, and relaxing them at our side. All right, so you can take a little bit of water. My voice sounds a little cracky. I didn't bring my water bottle, but I'll have to make do. So a great time for you to drink some water if you need to. And we'll be moving into a balance pose next. Now, if your balance is still developing, be near a wall, have a chair next to you. So if you can look up and if you feel a little wobbly, you can reach out to either the wall at your side, at your back, or the chair. So something that can help stabilize you. So that's why I have the chair there. Now, when we come into our standing pose for this balance exercise, keep the feet underneath the hips and just relax the pelvic bowl. Just have it slightly tucked under, if you will. So you can gently press the hips forward, have a gentle bend to your knees. And with the next inhale, we're just going to bring the arms, thumbs are facing upwards, and just bring them overhead. If you can touch your palms, that's great. If you can't, just keep them separate. But we're reaching up. We're trying to lengthen through the legs. We're finding that center of gravity that we've cultivated, that we talked about and felt at the beginning in warm-ups. But just reaching upwards here. And then exhale, go ahead and lower the hands. You can have them float back down. Palms can be facing sides, the bottom, but just relax the shoulders. One more inhale, we're going to reset our mountain once more, feeling that energy lifting upwards through the crown of the head. Let's go ahead and lift up the arms. And this time, if you can, interlace the fingers, releasing the index fingers, like you have a big pointer finger formation with your hands. We're lifting upwards. And then we're going to exhale, let the hands come down, heart center, and down to the sides. Go ahead and lift up your feet, especially if you have a tendency to grip the mat. Reset once more. Coming in, heel to toe alignment, right under the hips. And let's go ahead and inhale the arms one more time. And this time we're going to grab a hold of our elbows. And mind which elbow is in front, or which hand is in front and which one is in the back. We're just going to switch them with the next set. But let's inhale, lift up through the chest, lengthen, and then exhale, dip towards the right or to one side. We're going to inhale one more time, lifting the heart towards the ceiling. Exhale. Inhale all the way back up. Release the arms. And just sort of let them dangle. Just release. Then we'll stand nice and tall once more in our mountain. Inhaling the arms up. Grab a hold of your opposite elbow hand formation. The opposite hand now is in the front. We're going to lift up once more, lengthening through the chest, and then exhale towards the left. If you're lifting up with your right foot, press it down. We want even distribution of weight, even as we're leaning over. Inhale one more time. Come all the way back up to center. Exhale, release the hands, and just let them relax. You might give them a little bit of a nice little, what is that, like a plum weight. Just allow them to sort of wave on their own as you just dip forward just a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and come on down to the mat and meet on our hands and knees. We're coming into our hero pose next. And if you have really sensitive knees, we're going to go ahead and make the shins more of the support area. So we want to make sure we're not moving all of our weight into our knees. We want to bring the shins onto the mat, the blanket, and maybe have some of the tops of the feet off of that folded blanket. Anyhow, getting onto our comfortable position of tabletop here, we'll be moving into a hero so we can keep the knees in the together, and as we shift the heels backwards, bringing a block nearby if that's a part of our practice, we can always bring the hips to the heels with the help of this prop of a block, folded blanket, or maybe just a little bit of gravity hanging out in the air until our body releases, we make contact. So your torso does not need to be upright. You can keep the palms out in front. But if you would like to move upwards, move slowly, give yourself a little bit of time, eventually feeling that center of gravity of the hips over the heels. Gentle tuck of the chin. Otherwise, breathing 3 breath cycles here. Feeling a slight internal rotation of the thighs to keep the legs together. The core is slightly engaged. In a soft gaze resting somewhere out in the distance. After your last breath cycle, go ahead and start pitching forward. If you're upright, bring the hands to the mat. We're just going to bring the hands towards the hips a little so we can help lift up the body. Get the body off of the heels once more and tuck the toes this time. Keeping the knees together once more. You get a little more control by once more keeping the torso folded over, using the hands on the mat in front of you to help to support the body weight as you find how much of a toe tuck you can keep in your hero. So that's one point of just getting some stretching to the toes. You can gently just modulate through the feet. And it's just a gentle, subtle movement of the feet just to help stretch out the arches and whatnot. And you can always roll forward and untuck if it's not a part of your practice, and that's a bit too intense. You can also, at this point, bring the tops of your hands to help open up your wrists. And you don't have to apply too much pressure on the hands either, especially if you have the tops of your hands here and the elbows, if they're splaying outwards, bringing them inwards slightly, rotating the shoulders so that you can bring the elbows in towards the body a little more. You can even drag the backs of the hands to help with that stretching. You'll feel the stretch all the way from the back of your hands, the back of your forearms, even to some of the shoulders with that just gentle, subtle friction stretching of dragging the hands, the backs of the hands on the mat. Let's go ahead and bring the hands in front, untuck the toes if you haven't already, and you can tap out the feet. And we're going to be moving the knees just a little closer if you can, and the pivoting out the tops of the feet a little bit. So as we move into a fixed firm position once more, we might need that block to help us meet the distance. And it could be on a higher setting. You might have 2 blocks there. Just might be what you need. But eventually what we're hoping to do is bring the hips in between the heels, just so that you can have a seated position here, cradled by the heels. And again, much of this is this internal rotation of the thighs. The knees, if it's too much of a bother, you can have them separate, space them out a little bit more. But eventually we want that inverted pizza sort of positioning with the feet wide at the base and the knees near at this apex. And here you can bring the backs of your hands to rest behind your hips. Maybe it's the palms resting at the hips. Maybe it's bringing the fingertip orientation out towards the sides. But hopefully you're keeping the tops of your shoulders relaxed. You're allowing the fingers to have a slight, gentle traction against the floor, against the mat, to help lift up with each breath and find that stretch, that just subtle, very soft stretch. Let's go ahead and bring the palms, maybe the fists, the knuckles down to help lift up, and walk the hands up. Lift up off of the feet. And we're going to now move into a half-seated butterfly. So keeping the feet together, we can move the hips to the side. And I'm going to move to the side of the view here so you can see. Now, I recommend in our seated butterfly that your hips are higher. So you may want to be on a block, at the very least on a blanket, a folded blanket, or you can fold up your mat. But my hips have been extra tight lately, so having this extra height is much easier to open up through the hips in a seated butterfly. If your butterfly is nice and wide, don't elevate your hips. Do as you normally would do. But if you're beginning and you're still sort of working through your hips and they're nice and tight, your knees will be lifted. And your butterfly seating position of the legs is going to have more of a diamond shape as you lengthen the legs to help as you're opening up the hips and the knees. And as you get more flexible in the hips, of course, your wings will be wider, the knees closer to the floor, if not on the floor. And the key is to keep the tailbone, the sacrum perpendicular to the mat, the torso upright. But again, it's a process. So feel out your version of seated butterfly. It takes about 3 to 5 breaths, so that's about where we are now. And at your edge, breathe 3 more breath cycles. See if you can make your breath cycles as smooth, as slow as ocean waves. You're going to go ahead and start to help guide the knees upwards, especially if you're feeling really fragile here. Bring the soles of the feet on the floor. We'll go ahead and see if you can reach your toes. And just see if you can get to the bottoms of the toes and just touch them. Let's go ahead and return the soles of the feet back to the mat once more. We're going to extend through one leg, resting on the heel, but keeping a bend to your extended leg's knee, and allow the left foot sole to make contact with the inner leg. So you can keep your left knee lifted, you can keep it supported by blocks, you can keep it upright. So just stretching here. We'll go ahead and inhale nice and tall and reach forward with the torso, hinging at the hips. You may not fold forward very far, but that's okay. And then we'll inhale all the way back up and bring your hands back to the side. Guide this left half butterfly leg back to center. Extend that back down. Keep a bend to this knee. And go ahead and tap it out just a bit. Windshield wiping slightly. If you need, using the entire leg just to roll slightly. And if that's feeling good, we'll go ahead and bring a bend to this right knee and then externally rotating, allowing the sole of the right foot to be somewhere on this left leg. And once we allow that right bent knee to open up in our half butterfly here, we're going to sit upright with our chest. And you can use your right hand on the floor next to you and reach out with the left. We're keeping the torso nice and long. We're not hunching at the shoulders, a nice and long torso, and we're folding at the hips. If we don't fold anymore, we don't force it. We're just reaching, folding at the hips. And then we can inhale all the way back up to center, bring the hand back down, help guide this right knee back up, and extend through that leg. Go ahead and tap that right knee out just slightly. Bring the soles of the feet onto the mat. We'll go ahead and just come off of our elevated block if we were on it. And we're just going to bend our left knee and bring it to the side. Our right foot is out in front of us. And if we can align this heel to this left knee, that's what we're going for. Keeping both sits bones on the mat. So for some of us, we might have the arch flat, the right foot completely, the sole of the foot flat at this corner of this left knee. We might have to be a little more on the edge of our right foot, but we're working towards bringing the knee up towards the ceiling. We might need to bring one hand out to the side of us to help keep our torso upright. And once we're here, and keeping the left toes pointed back behind you, don't flex your left foot. We're just going to inhale nice and tall and turn the torso until it stops turning. For some of us, that might be just a fraction. For some of us, it might be completely to the side, but we're getting a nice twist here. Keep the left elbow somewhere on the right thigh, and we're twisting in our Lord of Fishes version to the right. Inhaling nice and tall. Exhale, release. Keep the core nice and engaged. One more breath cycle here. And then inhale, start to bring the torso, shoulders as one unit, back to center. And keeping the hands to the side, we're going to move the right foot to the right and bring the left foot, leg back to center and kneel and lean back bending both knees. We're just going to windshield wipe a little bit from side to side. We'll complete this Lord of Fishes on the other side. So sitting upright, let's bend our right knee. Bring that foot over. Point the toes back and away from you. And you're going to take the next 3 to 5 breath cycles to find out your edge here on this side of the Lord of Fishes here. Your right knee somewhere moving towards the center, towards the top of the mat, while still maintaining connection of the sits bones on the floor. So you might have your right knee pointed more towards the right than to the center, but that's okay. Just work on that. Get to that comfortable zone. And then you can bend this left knee and start to walk the sole of the foot towards the right. We're working towards bringing this left heel to about the right corner of your right knee. And eventually, the sole of this left foot flat on there, but it might just roll out to the outer edge of the left foot until we can get the knee up towards the ceiling. So as we're trying to do this, we're just trying to come towards the center so we can sit up nice and tall. And as we've used our 3 to 5 breath cycles to get to this point, we're going to inhale nice and tall through the crown of the head and then turn to the left to twist. We're using the shoulders with the center of our chest until we stop twisting to this side. Bring the left hand over to this side. The right elbow can rest somewhere in your lap. Maybe the right elbow is on the thigh. As you take the next few breaths, finding your version of Lord of Fishes in your twist to this left side. And again, orientation of your palms. You can have a palm facing up, facing to the side. Notice how that changes the stretch in your hand, in your wrist. The back of the palm resting to the side of your left hip. Maybe it's the palm on the floor. Maybe it's the palm facing up. And these are all those last adjustments you can make. And let's go ahead and after our last breath cycle, we're going to inhale the torso back to center, bringing the hands out in front of us. Let's go ahead and bring this left foot more towards the left so we can release the right foot, the right leg extending out in front and tapping that out just slightly. And you can move the entire right leg at the hip joint, just slightly rotating internal and external. We'll go ahead and tap out both legs while we're seated in our staff position. Seated up nice and tall. The body, the torso is balanced at this 90-degree angle, hopefully at the hip. And we'll go ahead and bring the fingers interlaced. Go ahead and bring them up above the head or somewhere out in front. And exhale to fold, reaching out with the knuckles. See if you can relax the feet. Go ahead and use the hands, palms to help walk the torso back up. And turn the fingertips to the back. Relax and just allow. If the palms are lifted off of the mat, that's fine. See if you can release towards the mat. See if the shoulder blades, the entire shoulder blade triangle just melts down the back like in our shoulder rolls, tucking the bottoms into the mid-back. And we'll go ahead and release the hands back, shake them out. And I believe we have one more, and that's the spinal twist. So making our way to our back. And of course, keeping the blanket there as well, because sometimes a bony back, bony hip bones, vertebra can really feel a hard floor if you're on the floor. So we'll use a base bridge position. keeping the blocks nearby. Because with our spinal twist here, if you are able to just have gravity at the sides help you to open up, that'll be great. But if not, you'll have the blocks there. Sometimes the blocks just give your body that little bit of support that you need to relax. So in our base bridge, we'll go ahead and extend through the right leg. It doesn't matter if you're at that 90 degree, maybe it's a little farther out, that's fine. Keep a bend in the knee if you need. But we're just going to use the palms, arms outstretched and on the floor. We're going to start to slowly roll towards our left side. And you can use your hand, start adjusting the placement of your hands to help you roll. Maybe you need to adjust that block. So whatever point of contact, I have my ankle, part of my calf, and we're just giving ourselves just a very brief spinal twist, nice and supported. Your right shoulder can be lifted. And once you find that spot, and your left knee is bent, and your right knee is sort of bent as well, you can exhale here and see if your right shoulder floats a little closer back towards the mat. If it's still lifted, that's fine. Finish out your very last breath with just a gentle twist or turn of the face, the gaze towards the right. Allow it to stop as it naturally would. And then we can inhale the gaze back to center. That's so that the face is in line with the chest. And then we're going to use our hands to help roll the sacrum, the back, onto the mat. And allow the right foot to land. Go ahead and keep the arms outstretched to the side, palms down, and windshield wipe from one side to the other slowly. And if you want to savor that, give yourself a breath or two there. And then we'll spinal twist to the other side as well, keeping that strategically placed block nearby. So inhaling the left leg, straightening it, extending it as best that we can. Keeping the arms out, palms down. Let's go ahead and start to roll to our right. And just find where we land. Sometimes gravity is going to meet us before the block. It just depends. And work your next few breath cycles into finding that edge, that comfortable spot for you in your spinal twist on this side. As you release here, your very last breath cycle should just be your gaze gently turning to the left. I'm just trying to keep the mic from collapsing into my neck, but the arms, your arms can be out to the side. And again, placement of the palms might give you that extra bit of stretch and release in the hands and the wrist, fingers, shoulders. One more deep inhale. One more deep exhale. We'll go ahead and bring the gaze back to center with our chest. And then use our hands to help guide the legs, the sacrum back onto the mat. And allow this left foot to land gently. You can give yourself any movement as long as your spine is in alignment with your neck. You can give yourself the windshield wipes. Make sure any folded skin is smooth. We're moving into our Shavasana, and I'll be sitting upright to align the time. But hopefully you can stretch out on your back. Your feet can either, your legs can be together or they can be pointed towards the corners of the mat. A blanket to keep you warm. Whatever it takes to help you release, relax, respond to today's practice in Shavasana. When you hear the 3 bells, we'll awaken. bringing the mind back to the body, taking note of sounds outside the room, sounds within the room, and finally back to the breath. Notice the air as it enters the nose, as it exits the nose, and how the body responds. Bringing the body vessel and the spirit and the breath together once more. I invite you to wiggle your fingers, toes. You can rock, hugging in your knees, getting a little massage to the lower sacrum. And finally, just over to the one side in a fetal position, helping yourself up with the help of your hand and forearm. We'll meet back in an upright seated position for our breath exercise of the alternate nostril, Nadi Shodhana, I believe, is the way that you pronounce it. But it's just essentially using each nostril with the hand positions. The left hand is in our chin mudra, the index and thumb touching, back of the hand resting on the left thigh, and the right hand in our Vishnu mudra. And that's the index and middle fingers on the mount of the thumb. We're closing the right nostril with the right thumb, left nostril with the right ring finger tip. If this is too awkward, you can always put the first two fingers on the brow and close the right nostril with the right thumb, left nostril with the right ring finger knuckle. So giving ourselves a moment to inhale deeply. Let's go ahead and close the right nostril with our right thumb and exhale through the left nostril. Engage the core at the bottom of the exhale. Bring the belly button in towards the spine. Expel the air. Inhale. Feel the lengthening from the root all the way through the crown of the head, lengthening through the spine. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Inhale through the right. Close. Exhale through the left. Last round. Inhale through the left. Close. Exhale through the right. Release the hand. Release the mudras. Just let the breath return to its natural state. Bringing hands to heart center. Thank you so much for joining us here at the ACC Community Room for Gentle Yoga at 2 p.m. Have a wonderful day. Namaste.